Hello and welcome to Lombok in Indonesia, this surface paradise hosting the next round of MotoGP in our first round, where we can officially say for the first time in 6 long years that Marc Marquez is once again on track as a MotoGP world champion. Yes, just 4 days ago? 5 days ago now. All has been rolled into one. Marc, of course, celebrating in those emotional scenes in Motegi as he finally reached the pinnacle, reached the mountaintop in MotoGP for the first time since 2019. But no rest for the wicked. Straight back down to business for the number 93 here under these searing conditions here in Lombok, Indonesia. This is one of the big tests of the season for all of the riders up and down the MotoGP grid. Of course, Buriram at the start of the year, those conditions there are testing, but the humidity here compared to when we were in Buriram at the start of the year where it was more of a dry heat, this certainly will sap the energy out of the MotoGP riders as we go throughout the weekend. Energy conservation is going to be key as we see Marco Bezzecchi just filtering away over our left-hand shoulder. Oh, but our camera woman has spotted Somkiat Chantra instead. No problem. We can pick either one of them, and I think Bez, understandably, is in no time for stopping. And to be honest, I don't really feel like stopping any of the MotoGP riders when they're stood there in their leathers, with their boots on, with their thermals on underneath, or their lining on underneath, because I'm stood here in a polo and a pair of trousers thinking I would love to be able to dive into one of the ice baths that these guys have got prepared ready for them at the end of that opening practice session of the weekend. So the last thing that they want to be doing is stood and chatting to me in the temperatures that at the moment are upwards of around 35, 36 degrees. So as a result, I'm going to bring you up to speed and a very quick recap and not bother the MotoGP riders as I sometimes like to do, and instead just allow them to cool down first, because that is priority number one right now. So, who was fastest this morning? Good question. Luca Marini, as Honda's huge transformation since the summer break just continues. Of course, the best weekend of the year last time out for the factory team, and for Joan Mir in particular, a front row start converted into third place in last weekend's Japanese Grand Prix. And Marini, who was strong in Japan but just didn't have things go his own way, was able to start this weekend off in fine form. As Maverick Vinales here can see, yeah, it's quite warm, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Have you got an ice bath ready?
Sorry?
Ice bath ready?
Of course.
Okay, go and enjoy it. I'm not going to keep you waiting. There we go. You can even tell just from Maverick's reaction then, saying, "Wow, it is hot, mate." Yeah, you don't need to tell me, Maverick. He said, yeah, absolutely. We've got the ice bath ready and waiting. We see Frankie Morbidelli down here, of course. He's going to be one of the huge fan favourites here as part of the Pertamina Enduro VR46 campaign. Of course, Pertamina, a huge Indonesian company supporting the VR46 team, as they have done for a couple of years now. So as a result, this is a big weekend for everyone associated with VR46. And Frankie, who was, well, not for his own fault, was in the news earlier in that session with his team boss Ucho Salucci, confirming that the rumours that a lot of us were starting to hear whispers of, that Pecco Bagnaia's transformation in Motegi, that of course all started at that Misano test around 3 weeks ago now, was down to the fact that Pecco at Misano on the Monday jumped onto Morbidelli's machine, the GP24, the bike that he was so successful with. And Ucho Salucci did confirm that to us, and it looked as though those GP24 items, pretty much a GP24 bike that he used, continued on. As we see the man fastest this morning, Luca Marini. Good job, Luca, well done. There we go, as he shoots off to go and cool off, as he should as well. I mean, get in over here, just to your left. There we go. Yep, hi, how are you? So yeah, interesting that Ucho Salucci confirming that Bagnaia's turnaround in Japan pretty much down to the fact that he was able to get back onto, as he has said, you listen to his quote, specifically what Pecco was saying in the press conference yesterday, throughout the weekend, Motegi as well, it said, I've been telling you, when Ducati give me what I want, I've always been confident that I'll be able to return to the performance levels that we've seen in previous years. And what he wanted was what he knew, the GP24, the bike that he was so successful with, the bike that he had so much feeling and confidence with and was able to win 11 races with last year. But Ducati, you can imagine, were maybe against the idea of having to admit that the updates, the upgrades that they brought for Pecco in particular are not an improvement. The GP25 as a package, as a whole, is not an improvement on the 2024 machine, and that of course is an admission of defeat for Ducati, to say that their great engineers have pretty much failed over the winter to find any improvements, and that's why they wouldn't want to do it. But Uccio Salucci confirming the fact that Bagnaia eventually was given what he wanted on Sunday night in Misano. As we were explaining yesterday, Bagnaia didn't come and speak to the media. Instead, he was locked in deep, heated, long conversations inside the Ducati trucks with Delinia spotted in there, Tardozzi spotted in there, Pablo Nieto spotted in there as well. And Uccio Salucci confirming those stories, those rumours, that turnaround in form was in part, a large part, down to the fact that Bagnaia was given what he wanted, and that was more Bedelli's VR46. Importantly, GP24 being wheeled into the factory Ducati garage on Sunday evening ahead of Monday's Misano test. Now, Uccio, I should say, to accurately quote him, did point out the fact that that bike was then returned to the VR46 team on Monday evening after the test, and what's happened after then, he doesn't know, because he admits, he says he doesn't know. I'm sure he does know, but he doesn't want to say because it's outside of his concern, outside of his garage. But one thing that is for certain, it was confirmed that Bagnaia tested GP24 with the 25 engine, of course, which he has to do by rules. One engine spec is homologated per team at the start of the year, and as a result he has to stick with that, unless of course you have concessions, which Honda and Yamaha do. There we go, I think I've rounded that off and tried to give you a full explanation of the rules and exactly what is happening with Pecco Bagnaia. However though, we should point out, we're building up the return of Bagnaia. Bagnaia been back to his best, but not a great start to the weekend. FP1 17th was Bagnaia, as we see. Hello sir, how are you?
From Indonesia.
Oh wow, good to see you, good to see you.
Surabaya.
And you are a fan of which rider? Marquez, Bagnaia?
Bagnaia.
Bagnaia, okay. Oh, and Marquez? Marquez, okay.
Juara.
Marc or Alex?
Marc.
Marquez, okay. Well, victory this weekend. Hello, how are you? All good? There we go, nice to see. Hello, and who do we have here? This?
From Honda.
Honda, okay. And this one? From Ducati is, I'm going to see, who is this? Yeah, LCR Honda as well. Luca Marini's on there. Let's see, I'm trying to work out, who on earth's signature is this? Is that Alex Marquez? So some of these signatures are just completely incomprehensible. I mean, I'm guessing they're two initials, but I mean, it just looks like two squiggles, really. But anyway, as I see, fresh from his ice bath, Fabio Di Gianantonio, a slightly cooler Digia than what he was a few moments ago. Looks like he's just come from a spa. I don't think he's as relaxed as he would be following on from a visit to the spa, although he's got his lovely pair of Birkenstocks on there. I always think I make this mistake as well. He's got a nice pair of suede Birkenstocks on there. Now, if you're putting them on with wet feet, and you're gonna discolour them, they're gonna get misshaped. So Fabio, bit of advice, don't be wearing the suede Birkenstocks when you've got wet feet. They offer some plastic ones. Of course, this isn't an advert for Birkenstocks, but I do have a pair and they're extremely comfortable. So if you're in the market for some sandals, then maybe those could be the ones for you. But all other sandals are available, of course. Didn't think I'd be talking about Birkenstocks, but there we go. Just a little bit of fashion advice for Fabio Di Gianantonio. You don't want to be getting those suede ones wet. Can cause all kinds of problems, and he's going to have to be buying a new pair in about a year's time, maybe less, if he continues treating them with such disregard. Right, what else can we update you on? Who was second and thirds? Second was Pedro Acosta, after some pretty big moments out there. A lot of riders complaining of a lack of grip. There's been some pretty heavy rain in this part of the world around 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, and of course due to the proximity to the beach here, the rain will naturally bring some sand and some dirt onto the racetrack. Now the cleaners are out there yesterday to try and bring it up to a top level and try and get it as clean as possible, but of course nothing cleans a racetrack more than MotoGP Michelin rubber going down on it, and as a result that's why we see some big moments for riders during that opening session of the weekend. Luckily not many were now, only Fermin Aldeguer suffering from a crash earlier on, as we see Marc Marquez, the newly crowned world champion, making his way through the hordes of fans, making his way towards I would imagine will be an air-conditioned room to try and cool off after what has been a strong start for the weekend for him. Inside the top 5, I think he'll be happy with that. I spoke yesterday of just wanting to find and make sure that adrenaline, that laser focus which brought him to the World Championship can continue now that World Championship is wrapped up. You can almost understand if having had that emotional, that release, that relief of finally getting the World Championship over the line, whether those intensity levels just drop ever so slightly as a result. But I think, knowing Marc Marquez and hearing from his manager coming into this weekend as well, there is no bigger drug, no bigger addiction in Marc Marquez's career than winning. And now that he's got a taste of winning World Championships, he'll want to make sure that he grabs as many wins as possible before going in to 2026 when he tries to defend that crown. He knows that he's at a point now that he's wrapped up the World Championship that he can make statements. He can really put pressure on his rivals, let his rivals know that he is here for the long term. It's not going to be one and done for Marc Marquez, and I think that's why we're going to see him push in these final 5 rounds and try to take all 5 victories, because there are records up for grabs as well. He can match and surpass his record number of MotoGP wins in a single season. He can take victory here, he can take victory in Portimao, and then make sure that he's taken victory at every single circuit on the MotoGP calendar, all 22. If he's able to take victory here and in Portimao in these final 5 rounds here, that will mean that he'll have visited and taken victory at all 22 venues, which would be a remarkable stat. So there's plenty still to fight for Marc Marquez, and although he was saying yesterday he's hoping he can still find that focus, that intensity, that adrenaline, I think after this morning session it's business as usual for the number 93, and he's going to try and kick on in this final part of the season, now crowned world champion, by doing what he does best, and that is fighting for victories. Right, thank you for joining us. We're going to be back with you tomorrow after qualifying here in Mandalika, where hopefully there's some of you coming tomorrow. It's a bit of a quieter paddock today, slightly more low-key, but tomorrow I'm hoping there's going to be plenty of you floating around. If you are here, come say hello. We always like to chat with MotoGP fans wherever we are in the world, so look forward to catching up with you. If you can't be here, then A, try next year, well worth coming to Lombok, put it on the bucket list, try and make it happen, and B, you can join us anyway and watch us live across MotoGP's social media channels, midday local time here in Indonesia. Adjust your clocks from there and join us, or catch up afterwards. Lots of options. Enjoy. I'm off to go find some air conditioning. Bye.